All right, hello again, everybody. Welcome to our next lesson here. This is Torts Part B, 2019-2020. Objectives and standards. You will be able to understand how tort cases are handled in court, and you will be able to explain the importance of certain types of coverage. And take a moment there to look over the standards as usual, please. Excuse me. And desired result. What are certain requirements under tort law? So I want you to be thinking about how tort laws are and how tort cases are handled in court. I want you to think about some of the requirements or elements that are required for suing a person or things like that, and also some of the coverage that are provided under tort law as well. All right, so courts and torts. A little bit of rhyming there for you. So disputes between individuals or groups of individuals are known as civil laws, and tort laws fall under this category as well. However, tort cases can be both criminal and civil in nature. An example here, Mr. Chen was driving drunk and struck and killed a pedestrian. He can be charged criminally as being intoxicated and killing a person. Mr. Chen may also be sued by the family of the victim for damages. So again, this isn't always the case, but again, this can happen as well. To be found guilty of a crime, we've already learned the prosecutor must prove the defendant is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, known as the standard of proof. During civil cases, the court will require preponderance of the evidence for the plaintiff or the person/people bringing the case to be awarded damages. This means that at least 50% of the evidence must show the damages being requested. A defendant does not go to jail in civil cases. They are required to pay damages to the plaintiff or plaintiffs. Being sued. Individuals or groups, such as organizations, businesses, or even units of government, can be sued for damages. A plaintiff may sue many different people or groups at once. Plaintiffs hope to sue somebody who has enough money to pay for their damages. Okay, this is called looking for a defendant with deep pockets, okay? Example here, if a person slips on a wet floor at a restaurant, they would probably sue the owner of the restaurant rather than the janitor, right? We probably assume the janitor doesn't have enough money or the resources to pay for the medical bills, so that person would probably sue the restaurant, the management, the owner of the restaurant to get those bills or medical expenses covered. A person can also sue their employer for damages if they are injured on the job. We'll talk a little bit later here about liability insurance and workers' compensation. Therefore, some employers or companies have liability insurance to cover the cost of injuries or damages, like I just mentioned. Parents of children can also face tort cases, if their children cause damage or harm. A tort case involving a minor or a child must show proof that the child acted unreasonably. Example here, if you trip over a toy left by a child on the front porch and injure yourself, you may sue the parents for being negligent or not, keeping an eye on their child or their child's toys. So that is an example there of when the parents of a child could be sued. Excuse me. Immunity. Most people and groups can be sued, but some are immune or protected from tort law. Due to social traditions under public policy, certain people or groups may not be sued even if they acted improperly. Government and certain government officials are included in these immunities. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Children are generally not allowed to sue their parents, and parents cannot sue their children. Husbands and wives are not typically allowed to sue each other as well, although some states do allow spouses to sue each other. Immunity also applies to the federal government and state governments unless they waive or give up this right. Some examples here. The federal government employees can be held liable for negligent acts, or acts of omission under the Federal Torts Claims Act. People may also sue the government for violations of their individual rights, and members of the federal government that have immunity include the president, federal judges, and members of Congress. Class actions and contingency fees. More than one plaintiff or injured person can sue in a situation. Hundreds, of people may be involved in certain cases, in a certain case, and they may join together as a quote-unquote class in a lawsuit. It's known as a class action. An example here, an entire town sues an industrial factory for polluting their water source, which caused many illnesses. If the court decides in favor of the plaintiffs in a class action suit, the reward will be divided up amongst them. Those who want to file a tort action should hire an attorney. Lawyers will sometimes work for a contingency fee. A lawyer may not work for an hourly rate, but receive a portion, typically 30% to 40% of the reward if the case is decided in their favor. Most lawyers do not agree to contingency fees since they are a gamble and may not result in payment. The use of insurance. Billions of dollars of liability insurance are bought by Americans every year. Injuries are covered by the insurance rather than the employer if an employee or somebody is hurt. A liability insurance is a contract or agreement where the insured makes payments known as premiums to the insurance company. The insurance company then agrees to pay for any damages the insured may encounter. An insurance company typically sets limits on how much they will pay out as well. You might know some of this from TV or personal experience or things you had in the past. Doctors, lawyers, and other professionals typically carry liability insurance to protect against malpractice suits. These are lawsuits brought by patients or clients who claim the professional acted in a negligent way. If doctors or lawyers did not have liability insurance, they would be personally responsible for damages. A manufacturer can also carry liability insurance to protect against customer lawsuits for injuries while using the manufacturer's product. Renters and homeowners, I know we have this, me and my wife are renting, and I'm sure your parents have homeowners insurance too, carry liability insurance to cover loss or personal damage of property. Example, this case, in this case, insurance may cover or pay for items stolen from a burglary. Car insurance. The most important liability insurance for young people is automobile insurance. Most states require that a person have auto insurance. This protects a person from certain personal losses in the time of an automobile accident. Automobile insurance covers many different things, including injuries and damages to property. Medical coverage covers a person's or their passenger's own medical expenses resulting from an accident, such as hospital bills and doctor office visits. Collision coverage pays for damages to a person's car, even if they were responsible for the accident. Now, most insurance companies require the person pay a deductible or an amount agreed upon to help cover the cost of repairs. Your automobile insurance company will not pay for everything, right? I've had auto accidents in my past, and we have to pay a deductible to kind of help cover the cost of it. Other types of coverage under automobile insurance include comprehensive coverage, which protects a person against damages or loss due to activities other than accidents, such as vandalism, your car is stolen, fire, etc. Uninsured motorist coverage protects a person from other drivers who do not have insurance or not enough insurance. Should be a space there, sorry, a typo. And no fault insurance. An insurance company will pay for injuries a person receives, regardless if the person is at fault or not, and this is different for state to state as well. Protection under workers' compensation. States have workers' compensation, which compensate or pay workers when they are injured on the job. An employee makes regular contributions or payments to insurance under their employers and their paychecks. If a person is injured on the job, they do not have to prove so in court. And an injured employee will receive a portion of their salary while they are recovering and unable to work. I know my uncle is doing this right now. And employers cannot be sued by their employees for injuries due to payments from workers' compensation. Okay, workers must notify their employer about injury as soon as possible. An employer may ask for proof of the injury or injuries from a doctor's note. Some states have workers' compensation commissions that hear claims and decide how much money will be given to any injured workers. An injured person may appeal their case to a court if they feel the amount is too low. Okay, and again, there are certain laws that protect people and companies from being sued by their employees due to workers' compensation. All right, so closure. What are certain requirements under tort law? Think about how tort cases are handled in courts. Think about the different circumstances with liability insurance from doctors and lawyers and things like that. Think about who can be sued and how they can be sued. And then obviously think about car insurance and workers' compensation as well to help you answer your questions here. Try your best on the questions that follow. And please let me know if you have any questions or concerns, and I hope to talk to you all soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.